Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Movie Battleground. This is something a little different from the matches. If you guys have been paying attention to the numbers that I put next to the title of every little video, you guys will notice that this one is number 50. We have had 50 official videos in the rebooted Movie Battleground. We have had 48 matches because of the one cancellation, unfortunately. But I figured now would be a really good time, considering how much we've actually developed in relatively such a short time, to kind of look back on the first 50 and talk about it. And the last time we did one of these last year, in place of that match, I made a joke about how like none of my producers gave a shit. None of them could be bothered to show up. I had four great panelists with me in Jake Reese, Jacob Barber, Austin Howell, and Noah McCausland. And while they were an excellent panel to have, I don't think my guys liked me talking shit about them when they weren't here, so they actually decided to show up this time, which I think actually kind of works out in my favor. So joining me on screen in the order that I wrote their cards, he is my fellow executive producer and one of my original co-creators of the show, Mr. Matt Beer.
How's it going? Thank you for inviting me this time.
Oh, yeah, like you didn't get one last time. Also joining us is the man everybody knows as your 38th favorite dad. That's assuming you somehow have 37 dads in between your real one and him. He is one of our fellow, because we have professional sounding titles here, associate producers at Movie Battleground, Jacob West.
So fun fact, I watched that video that you did whenever you actually premiered it and didn't realize that it wasn't live. And I'm like, what in the world, Aaron? I'm here. I can be on this. Oh, this isn't live. Never mind.
Yeah, it was not live. Like everything else, we pre-recorded it. Also joining us is another fellow associate producer of Movie Battleground, and he is fresh off his honeymoon, which is only just a few months after his actual marriage, Mr. Kevin Poss.
Hello. Glad to be back. As you can see, things have changed. I am married and glad to be back and glad to be moving forward in the year 2022. Congratulations, Aaron, on the progress you've made. 50 episodes is definitely something to behold. So yeah, congratulations on that.
And we do, as with everything, every show has to have that one drunk uncle who's just never consistent. So Henry is supposed to be here. We'll see if he shows up before this is over. But I did write him a card there. And of course, I'm more putting this up here because I realized when putting these cards together that at the moment, I am currently the only one of us who hasn't lost yet. And I don't like to brag very much, but I am going to take that moment there you go. Go ahead. Put it up. Put it up. That's fine. Henry's record is still better than mine, but still, I haven't. So I'll take that. But no, 50 matches. Obviously, we've had a lot kind of happen in that time. I have the pleasure of saying that I was there for, pretty much all of them, most of all of them. I missed some parts of some matches, but I was basically there for everything. You guys have been a part of a lot of it, but obviously not everything, both as competitors and behind the scenes. Matt, sometimes you just like to stalk us and show up while you're at work and listen to what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the perks of being the guy that pays for the StreamYard. He can literally just be like, oh, they're live. And hop in.
I'm like that crazy ex that just won't leave you alone. I just keep following you.
Well, in that scenario, I'm the one who came back to you because I'm the one who left.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I just figured it'd be fun because, again, obviously, Henry had to fuck it up. He's not here right now. Well, hopefully he does show up. But I realized when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to do for a 50th episode, because obviously you could stick a match on it. But it lined the way the release schedule lined up, it lines up on a Thursday release, which is what you're seeing now. And I thought, I don't want to stick an important match on a Thursday. I feel like that's least likely to get watched than like a weekend match. And then I thought, the actual producers of the show, the guys that have their names at the end of every episode, haven't actually all ever been on a video together in Movie Battleground. There's been 2 or 3 of us maybe together, especially if you guys are competing. I'll be there, you'll be there, maybe a judge is there. But the five of us, I guess still, have never actually all been on video together. So we did the best we could. Here we are. And I just figured it'd be fun to kind of take a little bit of time, not go for like the whole hour and a half or whatever we usually run for, and kind of talk about just our thoughts on it so far. So I guess I'll kind of start. Whoever wants to jump in, just kind of what are your thoughts so far of how it's gone in the first 48 matches since we've returned?
I just want to say something real quick. So Aaron, what you're saying is this had the potential of being a very beautiful moment of just togetherness, and Henry fucked it up. Thanks a lot, Henry.
If he shows up and then watches the part he missed, it's just gonna be us talking shit about him the whole time. No. But does anyone have any thoughts aside from Henry about how it's gone?
No, I think it's gone really well so far. Obviously, the history of Movie Battleground is like, hey, we're starting, and then we stop for like 6 months, and then we're back. But 50th episode, no 6-month break. I think that definitely tells us in a better situation. Plus, we were all kids. I was an adult, but I was a child by mind, still am. But
I was legally a child.
You were legally a child, but you were like, I don't know. I acted like I was probably 15. You acted like you were 30, or whatever. So there's that. But no, I think it's gone really well though. No hiccups, at least by what we've seen so far. Matches have been uploaded as scheduled, and yeah, it's nice to have that happen and not have like a week off where it's like, okay, we're waiting on this. Nope, we don't have it yet. Okay, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah,
I will say one of the things, while it is more work doing the bulk of it by myself, I will say what's nice is whenever something does go wrong, you know exactly who to blame, which is really nice. Back in the day, it was like when it would be like this, 10-step process of like somebody sets it up and then somebody's there for the record and then somebody passes an edit and then sometimes it like went through a second one for some reason and it was like you're just like who fucked up, where did this go wrong? Now it's just like I fucked it up. We can tell exactly who did it. But yeah, obviously Jacob and Kevin, you guys weren't with us back in like the old days that like Matt and I remember.
I was gonna say coming from a guy who has developed a league that thrives on not editing, and kind of prides itself on not editing, TM Geek. I feel like getting matches out is more important than editing, but you've been able to do both, and I think that just shows what kind of attitude you have towards this, and you're putting your mind towards this and in the right way, and that's what these people need. Like all these rookies are loving this, are loving to being able to compete in this style. So like the movie fight style. So yeah, it's definitely been a fun tournament so far, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been I think the funnest part for me has been it kind of, and it's one of the things I talked about at the start, is like the mixing of 3 different generations of this show, because like there's the OGs, like obviously myself and Matt were a part of that, but like in terms of competitors, the likes of Jeremy and Henry and Madi, who have been around since like Malcolm, who have been around since the very, very beginning of it. And then you have that like second tier of competitors that like Joe and Amaru come from that I was not very familiar with. I mean, those two I knew through like working with you on Geek, but a lot of those guys like I was not very familiar with. It was just I was told they used to play, they wanted to play again, so they were invited in.
So yeah,
and then obviously we have like the straight up new rookies, which like obviously and Matt, if it's still too fresh for you, you don't have to speak on it. You just played the only rookie to make it to the finals of a tournament in Sean Hunter.
I don't think he's a rookie.
Kind of leading that class. So
he's not a rookie.
It's crazy. Like the passion in some of these rookies, not only in trivia, but I love seeing it in the debate stuff. it's really shown me something. Like it's great seeing that side of it. I don't care who you are, like seeing that side of it is awesome. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
it's a cool thing.
Right. And I've never gone up against Jeremy or whatever. Obviously I watched Jeremy for a while, but I've always said, Jeremy, he's the best. There's really nobody I think that could, beat him that was in this roster. I think, we call him a rookie, and by definition, he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Sean, it feels like he's been doing this for years. I believe he could beat Jeremy. I think he's that good. Honestly, I think maybe he probably should have beat Grant, but
and you're not the only
probably
one
should have beat Grant,
that.
but
it was incredible that such a highly contested match was the second thing that we ever recorded.
Which could have very well destroyed everything. With how it was going at
second
moments.
episode, tear it to the ground, baby. No, but I will say I think that match is a perfect example of like where I say like the crossover of old versus new, because and even Sean said as much in his match, and like as someone who was you guys saw. I mean, let's not not bounce around it. There was clearly a lot of awkwardness in that match, and you guys saw the pared down, edited version of it, but there was a lot more awkwardness, and then the stuff you don't see when the cameras are off is like once the tensions are kind of down, immediately like they were talking and Grant was like praising him from the jump of like pushing him, and obviously for the time being Grant isn't competing with us anymore, unfortunately, via a personal decision from him, but like that was the one thing he took from it was like, dude, like you just on first match you pushed me harder than most vets that I'd played previously when I went on my way to win the title. And he was giving them tips and tricks and stuff. And I feel like that's the fun of it, like to go to another example, seeing like I'll use Henry as a good example because, part of the reason he's the only person that's a part of this that's not technically a part of TMG, like in some other capacity. And I invited him on as a producer because he's just so passionate about it. Yeah. And like from the jump, when it became a thing of like, this is coming back, he was immediately just, even if like half of it never got used, which is the truth, he was just pitching ideas and, becoming involved and speaking to people and like, yo, give it a try. And, wanting matches. And he's like, if such an ambassador to an extent of like wanting something like this to be around, which is part of the reason why I asked him to be on in the first place, is like more than just a competitor, but like him obviously meeting and becoming friends with like the likes of like Austin or Chad, both of whom, even when they've lost, have played well. And you can see where the influence starts to kind of play off in that sense. Or, there's other ones, Jay being buddies with Amaru. And I think you can see a little bit of the comparison there and how Jay's played so far. And obviously Jay beat Amaru in a very close match. But I like seeing that mesh because I think we're getting this interesting thing of like, obviously, the OGs to an extent have dominated so far, with the 6 players that are left in the tournament, 4 of us are OGs. The only 2 that aren't are Sean, who's a rookie, and Joe, who won the belt prior to the hiatus. But I think a lot of the rookies took their losses in stride, and especially the ones that I think are showing that drive to really want to come back and get into it. I think it's going to go a lot better for them the second time around.
Yeah, for
definitely.
Sure.
So just to kind of bring the discussion into a different place, I want to kind of go around to each of you guys and kind of talk about what are some of your favorite either like moments or matches or even like if you have a question you remember, just thing, not you don't have to go to the question. That seems self-praising because I write most of them, but just things in your mind, like whether it was something you did or something you saw, like things that kind of stood out to you. Papa, you've been very quiet, like a disappointed father. I'll go to you first. Is there like something that stands out in your mind that like you were a part of or you saw that was just like stood out to you in any kind of way?
So this would require me to watch these videos. No, I'm kidding. I would say there are 2 like highlight matches. And the first one we kind of touched base about it a little earlier is the Sean Hunter Grant Gregory match. Even like leaving that weird, awkward question, and it was like the very end of that question too.
Yeah, it wasn't a question; it was just where they went.
It was discussion. It was just one of the ways that debate went. Taking that out, that was still a very intense match.
Yeah.
Every single question going into the speed round or the blind round, that was just very intense, very exciting to watch. And then one that was just a little more fun to be a part of would be Matt's match that he was in against Madi, as a last minute replacement.
Yeah.
Just a very fun part to be a part of. And as far as best question, has to be what is the best pirate movie? So whoever wrote that question did a fantastic job, deserves a raise.
There you go. Thank you for praising one of the few other people who wrote something. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about it, but like I'll say, because Matt made the comment about Sean, about like he doesn't feel like a rookie, and I said this to Sean after his first match. If you go back, if you haven't seen that match, go back and watch it. It's the second one, so you have to scroll back a little bit. But he looked like a rookie for one question. Like that first question, he was clearly a deer in headlights and trying to figure out how this worked. And then quicker than almost anyone I've seen, especially because, and that's kind of the thing about those first couple matches is like, okay, so like for example, someone like Austin, and maybe my timelines are a little off, but like someone like Austin who did really well in his first match, by the time he would have gotten to record his match, I believe something would have been out, or he would have had a chance to be a part of a match as a judge. So he would have had some semblance of how this works. Sean walked into this basically completely blind. I mean, if he maybe checked out one of the older matches, but that's still not a complete frame of reference because we did make changes. So to come in completely blind on the first recording, or second recording, but the first night we did it because both those matches were done in the same night. Yeah, it took him one question and he was just in like, okay, I know how this goes. And then he won that second question. And it's like, just from there, he was like in gear. And yeah, Matt, your match versus Madi was another really solid one. How you feel about Rob Zombie?
Yeah, that might have been my favorite question, just because of like me and Madi clearly just did not care about anything Rob Zombie has made, and we were like just trying to come up with something like positive, but like clearly the movies we picked were complete and utter garbage. So there was that there. I think my favorite match though, it had to be Austin and Chadwick. That was probably the best match, maybe like out of any like phase of Battleground. There's that, and then like just I think, yeah, the Madi and me, I kind of agree with Papa. It's just a lot of fun to do that. I didn't win, which, you know, doesn't make it my favorite match because I didn't win, but it was just a lot of fun overall to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, what are your thoughts? Anything that kind of stands out to you as like a highlight of what's happened so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Jay and Amaru match was fantastic.
Both of theirs, really.
Yeah, both of theirs,
Wizarding World, yeah.
Right. Were fantastic as expected, though. So that's exciting. And then the kind of like unexpected exciting match, I think, was really the one I put together myself, not to give myself credit, but to give you and Noah credit, because you versus Noah, like, that was a really exciting match in the winners bracket, like y'all moving
I don't
forward.
think I knocked him out, but
And yeah, like nobody saw that coming, and it didn't seem like a knockout type of match. So it was one of those very intense matches. But that's the way that, you know, that's the way it went per the judges. But yeah, yeah, that, you know, there have been a lot of exciting matches this year, but just looking forward to, you know, the finals as we move forward.
I mean, absolutely. And like on that match, I think my favorite part of either of the matches I've played so far was, and Jacob brought up earlier, the pirate question, was me getting to dismantle that question in submitting the answers, because I know you were hoping somebody wouldn't say something like that.
I didn't expect that, for sure. That was not what I was thinking, but I was thinking somebody would for sure say like the Goonies, maybe, or.
See, I did think of the Goonies, but I was like, is that I hadn't seen it recently enough to remember if it was like fully a pirate film.
Pirates of the Caribbean question, like versus each other, but
yeah, I had debated. I had like going behind the scenes as much as I can say. I had debated going Pirates of the Caribbean for that one, but the fourth question, which unfortunately we never got to, without saying what the question is because it will be reused at some point. Both answers that we gave were related to Shrek, and I had already submitted the Shrek answer. And so I just kind of went, well, we're going to be doing like basically a franchise pissing contest on the fourth question.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that 2 times in a row. That would be, I feel like it'd just be real
for like kind of a boring show. I agree. So
yeah, and I'd argue At World's End is like coin flip the second best in that franchise. I mean, that and Dead Man's Chest are pretty much neck and neck. I haven't seen either of them in a few years, but they basically kind of came out the same movie. Both way too long, but other than that, fine.
I mean, that's my favorite is At World's End, but
okay, I can see it.
Of the franchise, yeah, or Black Pearl, I would say.
Black Pearl, which is excellent. I mean,
yeah. Either one of those, I could go
not the 4K cut
any day of the week, but
yeah. Obviously, in terms of like highlighting some more matches, like, and if you guys think of any others, please bring them up. This is one that none of the 3 of you have seen because obviously, as everything, this is being pre-recorded. But in terms of upload schedule, the match that went up yesterday, which is the second in our I'm doing like a little limited run of Rookie Wednesday matches where I'm putting up an extra match a week on certain weeks in order to let some of the new rookies that have come in get a match under their belt before they go up against more people. And yesterday, the match was Alan Shepard, who played previously but has been on a long layoff from doing kind of anything related to anything. Matt and him had a show for a bit, and then once that ended, he kind of took a break for a little bit. But he came back and played against David Garcia Alonso, who, if you watch anything trivia related, but specifically Kevin's TM Geek, you're very aware of David and what he is all about. If you haven't checked that match out, it went up yesterday. Go check that match out because for 2 rookies, it was a very competitive match, especially considering, again, behind the scenes, David was really not that confident in himself at all. And he killed it, including winning one of the rounds that prior to us starting the recording, he was just flat out like, I'm going to lose this one, which was very impressive on his part. Again, there's not much you guys can add. You haven't seen it. But aside from that, I'd recommend go checking that one out. Is there any other like matches or things that you guys, big things that have happened that kind of stand out to you?
I don't. On top of my head, I'm not sure. I have to think a little bit about some. There's been a lot of really good matches though.
This is the first video where I told them, don't really prep, just kind of come in. Can you say
I would say one of the funniest matches would have to be Frank Newberry and Mashed Potatoes. Which was the first one to come up.
Yeah, that might still be the funniest match to date. That match was something else, man. That was what a, like, for me at least, like from my own personal perspective, like that was a hell of a night for, like, because those were the first 2 uploads and they were both recorded in the same night, and to go from the Frank and Caleb match where we have that Matt Damon round where, and again, kudos to both of them for just taking the ball and rolling with it, because I can't stress enough, not once during the setup of that match did they ever indicate that they had any kind of issue with Matt Damon or the question. And then to both come on air and basically agree, neither of us really like Matt Damon that much, so we're just kind of arguing, it's all right. It was pretty impressive. And then obviously following that up with the Grant and Sean match, which was both an incredible match, and our downfall in one shot was like, this has been it was a glorious night. I was very tired the next morning, but it was a glorious night. I'm trying to think of
the Joe and Chad match. That was a good one.
Yeah, Joe versus Chad was good. I feel like that's another one that, like, the knockout against Chad is more indicative
exactly
of just how good Joe is, rather than it being any kind of slight against Chad.
For sure. Chad
absolutely tried his best. And I am looking forward to seeing him.
I'd like to
show up and play.
We've talked multiple times against. We'd like to play against each other. We talk, debate a lot. We bounce ideas against off each other. So yeah, I mean,
maybe it'll work out in the near future.
Yeah.
Maybe. I already know who he's playing next. I'm not going to say it yet, but I know who he's playing.
Oh.
Actually, fuck it. I could say it. So, yeah, why not? I'll say it. So, because there were a couple of players who came out of the 1-0 bracket who had themselves a 2-1 record. Now, I wanted to do something for them because they were in a more positive place of, okay, let's get them a match sooner rather than later. Amaru, who was one of those players, opted against it, which I totally understand for Schmodown reasons. He does have a match schedule. It'll just be not related to this and later. But Chad's match will be against Jordan Owens. And the winner of that match will go on to play the person who loses the first title match, and the winner of that gets a number 1 contenders match.
The winner of the Chad versus Jordan match?
The winner of Chad and Jordan plays the loser of the title match.
Oh wow! And then
if they can beat that person, they'll get a number 1 contenders match.
Oh wow! Okay. Wow.
So 2 wins is 2 wins, but it's a lot when you think about who's
involved.
Both of them, Jordan and Chad. That's a mountain for both of them to climb because both have done really well so far.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan is the only player so far who's taken Jeremy to the limit. I mean, both of Jeremy's previous wins were knockout, and then Jordan came in. And that's another excellent match. Like to call that one out, like Jordan and Jeremy.
There you go. Jordan has been like an under the radar player, I believe, like a competitor. He comes into every match like just kind of like he doesn't take it as I feel like seriously as everybody else does. Just kind of plays it, off the cuff. I feel like, but he is awesome at debate. He is great.
Yeah. He's really good. And like, I think what's even more impressive about his match against Jeremy is that, and if you guys watch the match, you'll know one of those rounds, he kind of just he gave up on. Like he halfway through lost faith in his answer. And in one of the very few instances we've seen, he just gave up on debating the question. And then to immediately next question, like, because the other times I think we've seen that happen have been instances where like the match ends shortly after. Like I think another example was Matt versus JD. I think kind of after that second question, I feel like internally JD gave up a little bit, which creates an interesting dynamic because I actually thought his argument for the third question was the best he had all match. But I just think without that internal drive to push him, he kind of found himself in a corner of there's no way that this goes except a knockout. Whereas Jordan was immediately able to dig himself out of that hole and push towards a win. I mean, Jacob, I'm going to go to you, not to rub a loss in your face, but only because you played Jordan personally. What were your thoughts kind of from that match? Because that was another excellent match.
Thank you for not bringing up the fact that Jordan was the only person in the first round to beat a veteran.
That is true. Jordan was the only person in the first. No. Jordan was the only person in the first round to beat a former debate champion. You gotta give him his flowers.
Exactly.
No, and straight up, I'll admit, I was very surprised with that match because going into it, knowing him from other aspects, was not expecting him to be a good debater. Right. And I'm not going to say he got lucky because he earned that win. But it was definitely interesting going into that first one because, of course, both of us are going into he's never done this before. I'm going into a new format.
Right.
Just it worked out. His first question was something I had no knowledge of. But when I was up 2-1 going into that Star Wars question, I call it the Papa Special. I give you the first question, and then I take the next 3, so you have a little bit of hope. that you're going to win this, but I take it away from you. And I'm ready. I'm like, this last question is mine.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on my answer, so it's just going to work out. And then he won, and I was like, "Are you serious?" Just not expecting that at all. So it's been really cool. I was also a part of his match against Caleb, so I feel like he's my child, who I have raised.
Your child in this,
yes. Even though I've done absolutely nothing to help him.
That was the matchup. You're right. Mashed potatoes versus fried potatoes. That was correct. Yeah. In which he had a one-match nickname that he quietly asked me to drop afterwards. And I said, oh, okay, sure. That's the least I can do, right?
A one-match nickname. Very nice.
The one-match nickname. Yeah, I mean, and then obviously, you know, I feel like, you know, as we start to, we're not going to go for too long, but like, you know, to talk about kind of who's left in the tournament. As I said earlier, based off of what has aired at the moment, there are 6 competitors left in the tournament. On the 0-1 bracket side, Sean Hunter has progressed into the finals, and he will be playing the winner of either Henry Sanchez, who obviously has progressed through that bracket through the second chance slot match between him and Austin, or myself. Myself versus Henry will be the matchup, and the winner of that will go on to play Sean. And then obviously on the other side, Joe Fairley, who very impressively throughout this tournament, obviously Jay being a tough opponent, you know, he dispatched him with little to no resistance. I mean, Jay did a very good job throughout the match, just point-wise. I think it kind of leaned to Joe's favor for the most part. But at 4-0 with a knockout, he is on to the finals, and he will be playing the winner of Jeremy Adams versus Mehdi Raymond. So I'm just curious to go to you guys, like, and you can pick whoever you want to talk about, but like, what are your thoughts on the players that are left, and kind of what are you thinking? And we'll give predictions in a minute, but just kind of what are your thoughts on what's left in this tournament?
I mean, these are all championship caliber players we're talking about. You're talking about like Jeremy Adams. He's used to playing in championship matches and matches of this caliber. So that doesn't affect him. So you can take that out of the equation. So you talk about like Henry, he's good at debate. Jay is good at debate. You've got Sean coming in though. He's had some matches against some people, I'll say, that, you know, that were a little bit easier. But he's done some really good work against some people that were harder. So I think he has the hardest road here. But this it's laying out here to be an awesome like final setup, because all these guys are used to being in this like finals setup, except for Sean. Like, he's the only one that's not really like he used to be in a championship formula here. So we'll see if the pressure gets to him. But it'd be awesome to see him come out on top.
Jacob, I go to you. Any thoughts on who's left?
I just want to say I am so proud of Mehdi.
Yeah.
He's one of the most improved players that I know.
100%.
I'm a Gen 2 guy. I got thrown in when Subrath was running this, and it was literally just Matty G was the one who got me into this. Hey, do you want to help out with something? Sure. What is it? He's like, movie debate. I'd watched a couple, but like I was hooked after my first time judging. And then he just threw me into everything he could think of. My first movie Battleground match, either my first or one of my first ones judging, was Mehdi taking on a guy from Canada. I can't think of his name, but he never has his Eros, I think his name is. He never had his camera on.
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Matt knows. And both had not won. Mehdi was like 0-8. And just he took that win,
So
and he's pretty much run with it.
Yeah.
He beat Matt, of course. I don't remember who he played in the second round or the first round of the actual tournament. But then to take on Tyler Butler, I am so proud of you, Madi. Way to go.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Dude, I want Madi to win the whole thing. There you go. There's my
yeah. And like again, speaking as somebody who like was played with him back in the day, Madi legitimately is like maybe the most improved person at this, because for a long time he was decent.
Right.
But it was clearly a thing of like he showed up and did it for fun, and he continued to rack up the losses because he just didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point he got, well, I mean, let's be real. At some point he got so low in the rankings that inevitably you're going to be playing people who you have a fair shot at winning. And I think that's when he started picking up the wins. But like he said as much this time around, like he came back into this and he was just kind of like, I don't know, I was good at it before. Let me start trying and actually, you know, preparing and coming up with something. And all of a sudden he, you know, he's 3-0 and he's, and I'd say he's at least assuming.
I think when you play and you lose against like better players, you kind of pick up on like what their strategies are, and you're kind of like, oh, that, you know, that was a good strategy. I might try that next time. And then you start incorporating that into your strategies, and then you become a better player. And before you know it, you're turning yourself around, and you're the better player because, like you say, you're playing worse players, and now you're, like you say, you're working your way towards the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and oh, go ahead.
No, like that exact thing worked out well for me. Because I lost my first 2 matches in this thing, got thrown against Jake Tato and knocked him out. So
yeah, you absolutely did, and that was a great like comeback performance after. And again, I say this as somebody who has a lot of respect for you, but I think most people would not have assumed if they said his first match is going to be against Jordan Owens and his next match is going to be against Noah McCausland. Most people would not have expected you to come out 0-2, but I think it was a case of Jordan was a surprise of just how good at this he was, like instinctually without any practice. And I think from like in terms of losses, I venture to say from match 1 to match 2, Noah was the most impressive rebound. He took that knockout personally and came back against it. And I'm very curious to see him in his next match because, again, I agree with what he said. I don't think I knocked him out. So I'm very curious to see how that makes him feel. Kevin's shaking his head. We'll get to that one in a second. But so we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. But before we do, I'm going to get some opinions off of the guys because I'm curious. So the first one is I thought it would be fun to give you guys your next matchups and kind of discuss your thoughts on and have the others discuss their thoughts on who they think is going to come out with the victory. So we'll start with, because it is first up on the schedule except for one, and we'll get to that one in a second. But actually it goes up next week. Mr. Philosopher down there, Kevin Poss, is taking on the man I just praised, Noah McCausland. And this was a case of basically, and again, behind the scenes, I don't feel bad saying this, but you know, in the event of you know, things feeling a little screwy, sometimes I'll give people, you know, things. And like, you know, against Noah, like I wholeheartedly believe that I shouldn't have knocked him out. You know, do I think I could have won? Absolutely. But I don't think I knocked him out. And after that match, you know, again, without going too much into it, it clearly affected him a little bit. And then shortly after, you know, we played the 2021 match, which he also lost, unfortunately, to Will, who did do a great job. But he took it, you know, a little hard. And I just kind of told him, all right, you know, look, I feel bad for knocking you out. Like, I feel guilty. I don't feel bad admitting that. I feel guilty. So here's what I'll do. Because I did it for Chris as well, because his thing got fucked around. And obviously, you know, people who got played with, like, the, you know, Shannon and Henry losing their opponents and other things like that. I gave, you know, second chance opportunities to people. Like, I'm that type of person. I said, I'll give you a list of everyone who is eligible within your rough ranking to play, and I'll let you pick who you're going to play. Outside of that, you get no preferential to, the questions or anything like that. Just you get the opponent that you want. Chris Diaz also got that offer after everything that happened with that match and then me being thrown into it. I gave him that same offer, and he picked Jonathan Peck. And obviously, that worked out the way that it did for him, unfortunately, but that's who he wanted. And almost immediately, Noah was like, give me Kevin. And I was like, all right, you want him. Go ahead. So I'll start with Jacob. Between Noah and Kevin, who do you think has the better chance?
Kevin, I love you. I hate your debate strategy. It really all depends on what Noah you're getting. Because I will say, Noah in his match against me, like, dude came out of nowhere. Yeah. And when he played Aaron, like, I'll admit that first question was very back and forth. You could have given it to either.
Oh, but that was Aaron, the one I thought I lost.
Yes. Aaron owned Noah in the last two questions, especially in the third one where he's like, Captain Phillips isn't a pirate movie. So it really depends on what Noah you're getting. I do hope that he is able to bounce back from those two losses, kind of get his footing back a little bit, and give you a great match, Kevin, because that will be fun to watch. And I will not predict because I don't choose favorites.
Well, I can respect that. Matt, I go to you. What are your thoughts?
I think it comes down to, I agree with Jacob, what Noah you get. With that being said, I think Kevin's going to get the win, not just because he's in here. I think Kevin can pull it out, though.
All right. And, well, because I wrote and produced the match, I feel like it would be good for me not to give my opinion. But yeah. I will say I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes down. Papa, I move on to you next. And I can already tell you're not going to like this, but unfortunately, because you are at 1-2 with one knockout, that meant I had to kind of look at you against some of the other competitors that were 1-2, and a couple of them had been knocked out recently, and a couple of them had those struggles. And so I had to pair you up against the only person who hadn't been knocked out in that 1-2 category in order to kind of keep it fair and not make it too staggered. That means your opponent is Austin Howell. Who is 1-2 after suffering back-to-back losses to Chad Webb and Henry Sanchez. That doesn't make him a light opponent by any means, but obviously, in both your losses, you put up great fights, and obviously you came back with a heavy win against Jake. Actually, I never asked Kevin what his thoughts were on his matchup, but I'll go back to him in a second. What are your thoughts on that matchup now that I say it?
As soon as you said you're going to hate me, and you started kind of breaking down a little bit, I'm like, he's going to put me up against Pez, isn't he? Darn it, he's putting me up against Pez.
Sure did.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Aaron, you're out of the TMG singles tournament. Way to go. Way to go.
That's fine.
No, I watched Pez take on Barber, and like he started out the whole debate like, Jacob, you are not going to enjoy this. Talking about Barber, not me. He was like, Jacob, you're not going to enjoy this. This will not be over quickly. You are going to get destroyed. I was like, right then and there, I knew Pez was going to be a fun guy to watch. I have to admit, I did not watch him take on Chad, and I did not watch him take on Henry, because real life happens, and I'm not able to watch this all the time like I want to. But just watching him take on Barber, which he won, scares the crap out of me.
Well, you can watch him lose twice if you want to feel maybe a bit better.
But you were talking about how good that match against Chad was, so I don't want
to. No, it was an excellent match, but it was still a loss. At the end of the day, there's an arbitrary winner and loser here, no matter how good somebody is. So, Kevin, well, first off, I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on you and Noah, and then what are your thoughts on Papa Austin?
I mean, first off, like, I love Noah first and foremost. So I'll leave that out there. But when it comes to this debate, I'm coming into this hard because I have taken a real mental break from trivia, debate, all that, and it's time to come back and be serious about this. You know, Noah's had a couple real hard, tough losses, and he's weak. And I think I can really give him a real tough blow. I need a knockout. I need a win. And I think Noah is the one I can get it against. He's and it all started back when in my match against Joe, when he was judging my match and he dogged my pick in Disney. So you go back to that match and you look at what he said again in my Disney pick. That's where it started. So I'm coming after you, Noah. I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you hard, bro. So I love you. I love you.
Yeah,
but
it's coming in hard.
This is serious, and I am. You know, you've taken on some tough opponents, and it's time for me to get a knockout win. So, but anyway,
your prediction on Papa Austin.
Papa Austin, that is a grand matchup. I love it. I love Austin's. You know, his antics in the ring are fantastic. It's all about if Papa can keep his head about him throughout the match, and I think he can. He's pretty calm and cool. So I predict Papa, but in a really tight, like probably like blind round win.
All right, and then Matt, any quick thoughts on
Can I say something
and
real quick though before Matt starts talking?
Yeah,
Kevin, I swear to God, if you knock out Noah, I am rioting because he will be 1-3. His one win against me and his 3 losses, all knockouts. I am rioting.
and you can riot through all of Wyoming.
Oh, I'm going to Florida.
He's played good players. Why would you riot? You play
I'm riding against Aaron.
You can pass through Kevin's sleeper couch on the way, though. You don't have to come.
Yeah,
straight.
there you go. You can stay on my sleeper couch.
So, Matt, what are your thoughts on Austin Jacob?
This is gonna be a fun match. Austin obviously can get a little crazy if he wants to. He's good, talented, like him a lot, but has he won a championship before? No. Who has won a championship? Jacob. I'm going Papa. He's won 2. He's got 2 of them.
All right.
So that's why I'm going with him.
Simple enough. He's using basic math. 2 is greater than 0, according to third grade math. And then the last one we'll kind of be able to hit. We'll be able to hit in one fell swoop, which is the other 3 of us producers. Because I'm playing Henry. That match goes up this Saturday for those of you intrigued to see that. And obviously, because Matt made it to the semifinals and then lost to Sean, the loser of Henry and myself goes on to play Matt. So I'm going to go first. I'll start with Jacob on this one. Who wins between me and Henry, and then who wins between Matt and the loser?
Strictly for selfish reasons, I want Henry to beat you, so that you two can take each other on. That would be great.
And who? So if it's me and Matt, who wins?
Papa doesn't pick favorites. Matt is my favorite, though.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So he calls me to lose twice. It's because I gave him Austin. Kevin, I go to you next.
So many reasons why. So many reasons.
That's fair. I go to you next. Who do you think between me and Henry, and then who do you think between the loser and Matt?
I gotta give it to Henry.
He's good.
Yeah, he's good. It just depends on what Henry get, but I think he's got it for sure. And then what is it? You versus Matt?
If you're saying I lose, then yeah, me versus Matt.
I'm gonna say Aaron beats Matt.
Okay.
I love you, man.
All right. So then, Matt, I go to you. Who do you think loses between me and Henry? And then how do you think they fare against you?
Okay, so I think Henry is a top 3 player in Battleground. I think Jeremy right now is number 1. I'll keep him at 1 until somebody beats him, and then it's either him or Sean. I think, like I said, Sean's a rookie technically by definition, but it seems like he's been doing it since the beginning. That's a match that I think is going to go to sudden death for sure. So I think Henry wins, not by knockout, but I do think Henry wins just because I think Henry is literally top 3.
Thanks for that vote of confidence.
You're
Not
welcome.
a knockout.
You're welcome. And then
no one had brought up knockouts before, but thanks for
Well, I look, maybe they think it's gonna be a knockout. I don't know, but I don't think it's gonna be a knockout. I don't. You're welcome. Look, a lot of people got knocked out by Henry. You are not gonna get knocked out. So there's that. You can take that with pride. Then it's me and you. So look, after that match with Sean, look, I'll tell you right now, I did not prepare for that match or any other match prior. So I don't know who's going to win between me and you. I think we're evenly matched. I think, skill wise, we're relatively the same. But I am not happy with how me and Sean ended. So I am going to come in prepared this time. I don't know if that's going to add anything. I'll say me because, if I have no confidence in myself, which is most times, then I'm just not going to win ever.
There you go, man.
So I gotta give myself a little bit of confidence for whoever. And if Henry plays me, well, I'm not going to show up. So
okay, so if I beat Henry, just immediately kick you out.
Yeah, just take me off of the
you know who, but never mind.
He's pulling a Voldemort? I think Voldemort showed up every time he needed to.
Yeah,
except for the sixth film. He wasn't in there.
Henry can play against this guy right here.
Sure, Voldemort, sure.
We'll have that guy play against Henry.
With that, guys, we're going to start to wrap up here. While I'm doing the wrap up, I am going to give you guys a question, though. The final one to end on. Of the 6 competitors left in the tournament, this isn't a specific match, but we have Joe Fairley, Jeremy Adams, Medee Raymond, Sean Hunter, Henry Sanchez, and myself. Well, I do the wrap up and the close up. Why don't you guys think about who you think is going to take it all? Who is going to be the person to claim the title? Now, there is still the caveat of if Joe loses the final, he does have the champ token. He could technically reclaim it and defend, but let's take that out of the equation. Just who is going to win the first official title match and take the title out of those 6? While I go ahead and close up the show, you guys can think on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys stuck through to the end because it's so much shorter than every other video. It's the least you guys could do. Thank you to the 3 of you guys for being here. Obviously, unfortunately, he couldn't be here with us, but jokes aside, he was working up until very shortly before we started this, so it's more unfortunate that he's not here. But shout out to Henry as well. I do want to say, because I say it in videos as well, but I want to thank all of you guys. I know I make the joke that I do a lot of this by myself, but the thing that makes it work for me to handle most of it by myself is that in the times where I need somebody else to step up, one of you 4 is always there to do it for me. And the show would not run consistently without having the people to fill the holes that you can't quite always have. Metaphorically, not literally. I don't need any of you to come to Florida and fill my holes. But with that said, thank you to all of you for the work that you guys do behind the scenes and helping out with the show. Thank you to all of you for watching. If somehow this is your first video, go watch an actual debate. They're much more aggressive than this was. And then please be sure to rate the video, comment, subscribe. If you guys have any thoughts on anything that we said today, drop them in the comments below. I do go through and read them and respond. I know Matt has access to read them as well and will respond from time to time. Hit the like button. I would say rate the video because I feel like telling them to like seems a little pushy, but like, like the videos. Most of them have 100% like rating. So, we're doing something right, even if it is only one person.
Like
So
the
you
videos,
guys-
or else I got this bird and he will peck your holes just like he's gonna peck Aaron's holes.
Oh God, a bird. Okay.
Go back in time, rate us 5 stars on YouTube back when 5-star ratings was
yeah.
a thing.
5 stars.
Oh, that.
And rate my
I remember
Uber
those
account
days.
while we're at it, and just no. So, but
Oh,
thank
goodness.
you everyone for sticking with us through Movie Battleground for 50 episodes. Here's to 50 more. But with that said, I vamped enough for you guys to have time to think. Around the horn, just real quick, Kevin. I start with you. Out of the 6 left, who takes the title?
Jeremy Adams.
Papa.
I think it will be Jeremy versus Joe. I know how to beat Joe. I do not know how to beat Jeremy. So I think Jeremy wins. Beats Joe twice.
That would have
Finish
to
your
happen.
token.
Yes, he would
Finish your
have to
token.
beat him twice in that scenario.
Right.
Matt, who do you think?
I want it to be Medee. I think story-wise, that'd be great. Somebody who, like you said, started 0-8, went to this, revamped version, and just came in out of nowhere, won it. And I think it would make me feel better too, because I went into that match with like no time, and I think I took him to the limit. Even though the score says 3-1, it was a split in every single round. So it would make me feel good. It make me think that maybe, and it would be bad of me to think this, I could beat Jeremy, and then I would play Jeremy and get knocked out. But overall, who I think is going to win is Jeremy. I'm going to go with that until somebody beats Jeremy. Although, watch out for Sean. I think Sean's somebody that might be able to take on Jeremy for a title and maybe beat him, So I'll go Jeremy now.
Yeah.
Go, Sean.
I mean, I have said since day one of this that Jeremy is the best player to have never won the title.
Yeah.
And I hate to make it unanimous because now it sounds like we're playing favorites, but or unanimous, not unanimous. That's a
Unanimous isn't a
It's a
word.
different one.
Yeah, thank you. I hate to make it unanimous, but I have a lot of faith in Jeremy, although I think whoever comes out the winner of, I do think it's going to be Joe and Jeremy. And to be a little more political, I would say whoever comes out the winner of that has a better chance.
Right.
But it's anyone but me. Like, let's just be real. As I've publicly said, the worst thing that could happen is me to win the title. So just if any of you fucking win it except for me, I'll take that as a victory. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please come back Saturday to check out Henry versus me and see if I will progress to continue to not want to win my title. And we'll see you next time on the Movie Battleground.